If you would draw this graph in your notebook, yes, I shall be there in 1 second. So, you have drawn this graph. On the horizontal axis, this is horizontal, you always name it the x-axis. And on the vertical one, you name it the y-axis. X and Y. We know how to read a graph, but now we have to draw the graph. Extremely easy. In order to fill in a graph, you need a specific coordinate. You need coordinates in order to fill in the graph. And a coordinate is indicated by a capital letter, not a lowercase one, a capital letter, bracket, a number, a comma, x value and y value. So if I say place a dot at the coordinate of A, place A in the graph, place A in the graph, the first value is the x value. The first value belongs to x. So where do you look? You look at the x-axis. Here's where you look at. So the first value is 3. So what do? I move to 3. Here is 3. But am I finished? I'm not finished. I still have a y value, meaning I have to move in the vertical axis. So the coordinate A, 3, 2, that's how you would say it, 3, 2, is 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. Here it is. The coordinate of A is precisely here. Extremely easy. The second easiest chapter in the book, after chapter 12. Well, fine. All right. Plot, meaning to fill in the following coordinates in your graph. Plot the following coordinates in your graph. In chapter 9, you may have to deal with different lines. So it is always recommended to use different colored pens or pencils. Green, red, blue, yellow, whatever color you like. Yes, because you're going to have to draw different lines. And you can get confused if you're using only, for example, black or blue to draw all the lines. You would get confused. You would not know which one is which. Even placing coordinates, it would be helpful. So I make B red, so I can indicate it as well in the graph, which is which. C, purple. And then let's make D brown. So B, -4, -1. So you move 4 spaces to the left, 4 spaces to the left in the x-axis, and then you move 1 space downwards here. So the coordinate of B lies there. B. C, -1, 3. You move 3 spaces to the left. -1, 3. 1 space to the left, -1, and then you move 3 spaces in the vertical axis. That is C. negative 3, 1. There it is. C. And the last one is for you. It's the easiest one. The last one is for you. Can we make it? Yeah, we can make it. Coordinates. Extremely easy. Now, most of the time, if not all of the time, you have something called a table. And from this specific table, you have to find the coordinates from a table given to you. Most of the time, they're not going to say this is X, this is Y. So always remember, X is always at the top, and Y is always at the bottom. X is always at the top, and Y is always at the bottom, unless indicated otherwise. So X is always top, Y is always bottom. And then you would continue in receiving numbers. Most of the time you receive a table, and from this specific table, you have to place the coordinates in the graph and afterwards draw the line. But teacher, I have a table. This is not a coordinate. You are most certainly right. You have to find the coordinate. But what is the coordinate? Extremely easy. If the top one is X and the bottom one is Y, and a coordinate is given as X and Y, looking at this specific value or values, you would conclude to the first coordinate being -1, -2. That would be the first coordinate. Looking at a table, the top one is X, the bottom one is Y. So that's your coordinate. So place the first coordinate in your graph. -1, -2. Where do we go? 1 to the left, -1, and then 2 to the bottom. 1, 2, -1, -2. Here we go. Osman. Trofa? Trofa? No, I don't know. All right, so you have a table and you have to transform it into your graph. These are your values, and you transform all of them into coordinates. Do you have to do this? No. You just look at the table and place the dots in the graph. You do not have to do this. So -1, -2 is here. 0, 1, 0, 1 is here. 2, 3, 2, 3 there. 3, 5, 3, 5 here. And then lastly, 4, -3. 4, -3 here. That's the last one. And afterwards, you draw a line if it says to do so. If it says to do so. Through the graph. Yes, so you can imagine if you have 5 or 6 of them, if you're placing only one color, you can imagine you will get extremely confused. So it's nice to use different colors. Yes? Very exciting for business. When you make your own money, you're going to be seeing lots of graphs, up and down and up and down. Yes. Which part? It is given to you. This is given to you. It's given. Yes. We are all finished. So, if I took a good example, we don't have much time, so we'll only do one. Three, page, it's not given, 206. Plot the graph using a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 5 days on the horizontal axis. It can happen that it comes like this in the exam. Certain times it will not say anything. You have to figure out your scales. So what does it mean with scales? 1 centimeter to represent 5 days on your horizontal axis. So the first thing you have to take in mind is you have a horizontal axis. If this was 0, this spacing is 1 centimeter. Most of the time, one spacing is always 1 centimeter. The next number is not 1, because 1 centimeter has to represent 5 days, meaning after the 0 comes 5. That is correct. So after 5 comes 10. Yes? Scale 1 centimeter represent 5 days on the horizontal axis and 1 centimeter on the y-axis to represent 1 centimeter as well. So you would have a graph. Wait. Looking like so. Also 1 centimeter. And this one is 1. And then 2, 3, 4, 5. As I said before, you always have to indicate what's happening. You just don't write X because it has a meaning. It's not just X. It's what? It's time and days. It's time and days. So when I'm looking at the horizontal axis, it's time and days. So when I see 5, I know, oh, that's 5 days. When I see 20, oh, it's 20 days. You have to indicate what's happening. Yes? When you are the director of Central Bank of Curacao, you're going to look at graphs. You're going to say, okay, well, what is X and what is Y? What? Is it money? Is it cows? Or what is it? Is it Bitcoin? I have to know what it is so I know what I'm doing. And then on the Y-axis, the Y-axis, it's length in centimeters. Is it length? Height. Length, height. So it's height in centimeters. In centimeters. It's height in centimeters. Remember to indicate these specific things. You, depending on the graph, you get points just for placing this correctly. Graphs, depending what you have to do, can give between 4 to 6 points. 4 to 6, depending what you have to do. So placing everything correctly, like A, scale 1 centimeter represents 5 days, 1 centimeter represents 1 centimeter. This is already 1 point. Just doing that, you got 1 point. Not even filling it in. So doing this correctly already gave you 1 point. The next thing you have to do is place or fill it in. For example, I'll just do the first one and then we are finished. We shall continue another day. So your homework shall be placed in Google Classroom. The first one is 5, and then what belongs to 5? 1.2. So at 5, here it is, 5 belongs what? 1.2. If half is 1.5, meaning the first coordinate is more or less here. More or less. It's not going to be precise. 5, 1.2. It's not going to be precise.